We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick.
Well, there you go. Straight from the horse's mouth, as they say. U.S. President Trump stating that Washington, D.C. will not be the only city where a crime emergency will be declared by decree. And I knew this would happen. I was telling it to my wife again. I said, he's not going to stop in D.C. He's going to go across the country because they've created this problem in many cities, not just Washington, D.C., but he also mentions Chicago, Los Angeles, New York City, Baltimore, Oakland, right? They're going to declare crime emergencies in all these different cities. And I'm not sitting here saying that the crime isn't out of control. I mean, I live outside of Spokane just a little bit, and I can tell you it's out of control here as well, right? They haven't got a handle on it whatsoever at all. SWAT teams are deploying, it seems like almost every day when I follow the news accounts on Facebook. Well, once again, it's the Hegelian dialectic at play here. Problem, reaction, solution. Let's create the problem by letting crime get out of control. We'll defund the police and all these other things, sanctuary cities, right? And so we'll create this massive problem over a decade or so. I mean, worse than it ever was. And then the last 4 years under Biden, of course, just opened the gates and let them all through, so to speak. And in some cases, they were flying them and busing them across the country to different locations to make it harder to make it hard to get rid of them all, is what the idea was. So then what they're going to do now is declare martial law in all these different cities that he just mentioned, and possibly many more, in order to clean them up, get rid of the homeless people, get rid of the criminal element, he'll say, get rid of all the illegal immigration, and ship them off to God only knows where. Well, we got some indications of where. Here, I'll show you in just a second. But anyway, I think you get the point in this particular segment. And here we go with where again, where they're going to put more of these prisons like Alligator Alcatraz. This time we're talking about Indiana, partnering with DHS to create a speedway slammer is the term for this one, borrowing inspiration from Alligator Alcatraz. Indiana is taking a comprehensive and collaborative approach to combating illegal immigration and will continue to lead the way among the states, the governor said in a statement. So here we go. This is from the Wine Press over in Substack. If you're not subscribed, you should be. I see something great from them almost every day. So now, taking inspiration from Florida's newly launched Alligator Alcatraz prison deep in the heart of the Everglades, Indiana recently announced plans to build a similar setup. When the new Florida prison was announced on July 1st, President Trump was touring the facility along with Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. And at the time, Noem remarked that Trump wanted to see more of them built across the country. Well, I think you would like to see them in many states, really, many states. And at some point, they might morph into a system, Trump told the media. That's what the plan's been the whole time. Since long before this second term for Trump. So despite being criticized for its rugged conditions, Trump added it can be a new standard for immigration facilities. And it won't just be for immigration, guys. It's going to be for anyone they consider a malcontent. So Noem later affirmed this when she revealed she was in talks with several other Republican governors to construct identical prisons in their states. Apparently, Indiana was one of those states. According to a DHS press release on August 5th, Indiana and Governor Mike Braun will work with the agency to build the Speedway Slammer. It says today the Department of Homeland Security announced a new partnership with the state of Indiana to expand ICE detention space by 1,000 beds. According to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, it's partnering with the Indiana Department of Corrections, and these beds will be available at the Miami Correctional Center. The Speedway Slammer will house some of the worst criminal illegal aliens arrested by ICE. Yeah, I'm sure they'll have some housemaids that they'll arrest. I mean, or maybe some greenskeepers. That's who they're arresting for the most part. I haven't seen a lot of hardened criminals. Anyway, this agreement was made possible by the one big beautiful bill. Remember the 45 billion I told you about last week, guys? $45 billion in that bill to do things like this, to fund more prisons like this. And now they're doing it. They got to use up that money. 45 billion is a lot of money. So this law fully funded the 287G program and provided funding to secure 80,000 new beds for ICE to utilize while detaining and deporting the worst of the worst. That's how they sell it. That's not what they're really doing, however, but be that as it may. Though not mentioned in the press release, the prison will be located in Peru, Indiana, nearly 2 hours away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where the prison gets its name from. So Noam said in a comment, coming soon to Indiana, the Speedway Slammer. Today we're announcing a new partnership with the state of Indiana to expand detention bed space by 1,000 beds. Thanks to Governor Braun for his partnership to help remove the worst of the worst out of our country, and blah, blah, blah. I'll let you read the rest on your own. And there's a South Park depiction of Kristi Noem, which I guess she's not happy about. Too bad. So sad. And the Governor Mike Braun from Indiana, he said this: "We are proud to work with President Trump and Secretary Noem as they remove the worst of the worst with this innovative partnership. Indiana is taking a comprehensive and collaborative approach to combating illegal immigration and will continue to lead the way among the states." Yes, and you get billions of dollars thrown into your state coffers, don't you? By DHS. And that's why they're gushing over it. Money. So just as it did with Alligator Alcatraz, DHS published memes of Indy cars sponsored by ICE racing on the track with the backdrop of a prison. Oh, isn't that nice? Wow. I'll let you read the rest on your own. I think you get the idea. So they're expanding it just like we said they would, because there was 45 billion in that so-called big beautiful bill in order to do this. So they're going to use the money. And World War III, switching gears here a little bit, also at thewinepress.com. We need to talk about this, guys. We need to talk about this because, as you know, unless you've been living under a rock, this Friday, Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin are supposed to meet in the state of Alaska and have this little summit in regards to Ukraine and other matters between the two countries. But mainly, the subject will be a ceasefire in Ukraine, which there isn't going to be one. At least if there is, it won't be much of one. Because they're never going to come to terms, guys. And this is all a big show. All a big show. Remember what the Bible says. When they cry peace and safety, boom, sudden destruction. So here we go. World War III. Listen to the billionaires and what they have to say about it. Not Trump. He's not a billionaire. Only on paper. That's all made up nonsense. But Palantir CEO Alex Karp, that's a different story. And he says a three-front war with Russia, China, and Iran is very likely. And like the author says here, in other words, it's a lock. Yes, it is. Yeah, I would guarantee it's a lock. As tensions continue to grow by the day between the United States and NATO versus Russia, China, Iran, and the BRICS-aligned nations, the specter of World War III grows along with it. Last year, in the run-up to the 2024 presidential election, tech giant defense contractor Palantir CEO Alex Karp said that he thinks it's very likely the U.S. will be involved in a three-pronged war with Russia, China, and Iran. Karp admitted this in an interview with the New York Times in August of last year. The paper reported that he thinks the United States is very likely to end up in a three-front war with China, Russia, and Iran. So he argues we have to keep going full tilt on autonomous weapon systems because our adversaries will. And they don't have the same moral considerations that we do. I mean, how they say this stuff with a straight face is beyond me. The same moral considerations that we do. We're not moral at all. Look at the frickin' genocide in Gaza that we're complicit with here in the United States. It's ridiculous. Moral considerations, unbelievable. I have other words I'd like to say, but I won't. I think we're in an age when nuclear deterrent is actually less effective because the West is very unlikely to use anything like a nuclear bomb. Baloney. They'll use it in a second if they feel it'll give them an advantage somewhere. Whereas our adversaries might, he said. When you have technological parity but moral disparity, the actual disparity is much greater than people think. Yes, but the opposite is always true when these people speak. So the moral disparity is on just flip it around. In fact, he said, given that we don't have a parity technology, technologically, but we don't have parity morally. They have a huge advantage. In other words, he's saying that the Arabs don't have any morals and that they're going to take advantage of our morals, which is a bunch of garbage. Like I said, the opposite is true here. Mr. Karp said that we're very close to terminating robots and at the threshold of somewhat autonomous drones and devices like this being the most important instrument of war. You already see this in Ukraine. Are we tough enough to scare our adversaries so we don't go to war? Do the Chinese, Russians, and Persians think we're strong? No, they don't, and they'd be right. The president needs to tell them if you cross these lines, this is what we're going to do, and you have to then enforce it. He said he would support class-based affirmative action and declared himself pro-draft. Yeah, because he won't be participating in any fighting himself. So they say Karp is a bit of an enigma when it comes to his relationship with President Trump and the company, since Karp is a socialist and a progressive who voted for Biden in 2020 and backed VP Kamala Harris. At the same time, he's distanced himself politically from Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel, who is the polar opposite politically and a huge supporter of Trump. Earlier this year, Trump came under heavy criticism when the New York Times revealed his administration contracted Palantir to collect all of Americans' private and unique data to build a master database, building off of previous executive orders Trump signed that deregulates data sharing among federal agencies. So there you go. Now for some commentary here. There's plenty of great research and reporting out there about Palantir and Peter Thiel. Better research than I could ever provide. This video by Moon is a good, succinct video on how dystopian this company is. Something worse than anything George Orwell penned down. And when you have the Palantir CEO coming out and saying he thinks the U.S. is going to go to war with Russia, China, and Iran, he's really saying we will. It's a lock. I mean, we're basically already at war with Russia. Yeah, it's been through Ukraine up to now, and mercenaries up to now, and some regular NATO forces as well, which they always brush under the rug. You'll never hear about them anymore. But nonetheless, it's still happening. We've been fighting a war through Ukraine as our proxy. World War III has been ongoing since 2022. But anyway, if they really wanted to end this war, all Trump would have to do is seriously stop giving weapons and intelligence to Ukraine, order a systematic withdrawal, and let Europe deal with it. And since Europe can't, as NATO is very dependent on the U.S., the war would eventually have to come to an end. I agree. But the U.S. is not and will not be. VP J.D. Vance, who is a literal puppet and plant of Palantir, has said that the war in Ukraine will not end anytime soon. He was telling the truth this time. Yes, I've been reading that all over Telegram and social media, that statement. But I think we understand that the illusion that we're only aiding Ukraine will cease eventually and that the war will ramp up as Russia presses deeper into Ukraine. Yes, they had some big gains today, as a matter of fact. Let's go over to Hal Turner real quick. He did have an article that he posted about that. Yes, here it is. And this is on Telegram as well. Pokrovsk front has collapsed, and so this is a big deal. This is an unexpected development in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The Ukrainian defense has collapsed at the city of Pokrovsk. The Ukrainian military is now sending urgent messages to the townspeople, telling them they have less than 2 days to pack up and evacuate. The same thing is happening in Kupiansk, Seversk, and soon in Konstantinovka. Sorry, guys, I'm probably butchering these. But anyway, it appears that Russians will take all 4 settlements more or less at the same time, basically merging 4 operational crisis sectors into a strategic disaster for Kiev. Russia has made a major breakthrough in the Ukrainian defense on this axis. Ukraine simply does not have enough people to hold the lines anymore. Russia finds a weak spot and then can just drive ahead. And so I'll let you read the rest on your own, but they're making huge gains. I have read some Telegram accounts of 11 kilometers in a day, which was unheard of prior to now. But anyway, going back to this article. As we know, Trump and Israel already got the ball rolling with Iran. We know Iran has been a super important target for America and Israel for decades, salivating at the opportunity to topple their government, send it into chaos, and supplant a pro-Israeli and pro-American plan. But unlike other Middle Eastern nations that the U.S. has gutted and uprooted over the last number of decades, Iran is going to be more difficult, as Israel's latest skirmish with them proved. Iran is much more powerful than I think the leaders in Israel realized as their own defenses were shown not to be impregnable as they touted them to be. But there's no question that the war will restart over there in short order. I've been seeing all kinds of rumors about that too, guys. Iran's been saying it in public. Just nobody's reporting it here in the West. But Iran is saying that they are expecting an attack from Israel any time now. And there's also scuttlebutt that they may preemptively attack Israel to prevent the attack on them that's coming. So it's not over by a long shot. And the latest ceasefire is just a short break before it ignites again, like the author says here, especially now that Israel is moving to fully occupy Gaza, which will most likely require U.S. boots on the ground to pull off that operation, at least some mercenaries, I would think, an operation that's going to take a lot of time, money, and lives. As for China, we know their handlers have been ginning up for this war too. And like I said, guys, I mean, every time we talk about this upcoming war that the U.S. is going to get into, it's going to be a three-front war. It's going to be against Russia, China, and Iran. And then you're also going to have North Korea to deal with too. But I think they're going to leave the South pretty much to themselves over there. But anyway, China's gearing up for an invasion of Taiwan. The Prime Minister of Taiwan's been saying it here ad nauseum for the past couple of weeks. China's going to invade, and soon, is what Taiwan keeps saying. So the propaganda is so obvious to those not listening to the neocons and legacy media controlled podcasts that China is not a threat to us at all, nor does it have an imperialist history as implied by the neocons and warmongers. This trade war is only the beginning. We know that the seeds have been planted for a staged war in Taiwan, for which the U.S., through taciturn and two-faced in its messaging from the Biden and Trump administrations, will pretend to stand for Taiwan and send them weapons when China gets the nod from its handlers to occupy Taiwan. So, if Palantir CEO Alex Karp is saying we're going to have a three-pronged war with Russia, China, and Iran, we ought to believe him. They are one of the groups supplying the technology, after all. Indeed, they are. So there we go, guys. And of course, he quotes Mark 13:7 here. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must need be, but at the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be earthquakes in divers places, there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. But they're really coming to a head now, aren't they? All over the world. Not only wars, rumors of wars, but earthquakes in divers places, as it says in Matthew 24. Look at all this. Look at the Ring of Fire in particular. Just everything's going off. Down by Tonga, still up here on the peninsula of Russia, Kamchatka Peninsula. The Aleutian Islands in Alaska, still going. And these aren't small earthquakes. I mean, they're in the 4s, they're in the 5s. There's another one over here in Mexico, 4.5, and I think there was another one that was even a little bigger than that, 4.8. So it's nonstop. And they're saying that the Pacific is being torn apart. The plate is. And then we have earthquake swarm at Mount Rainier again, increasing today, Monday, 8/11. So Mount Rainier is going off, but of course not big enough to register on this map. But all kinds of clusters of quakes going off there as well. All these volcanoes seem to be waking up now, especially in Kamchatka, Russia, after that 8.8. So guys, it's all here. Are you ready? Are you prayed up? Prayed up first, prepped up second. That's what we always say. Being prayed up and right with Jesus Christ is the best prep you can make. Don't wait another day. Do it now while there's still time. Seek Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. He's the way, the truth, and the life, and no one gets to the Father but through him, guys. I can't emphasize it enough. Time is really, really short. And that'll be it for now. Don'tSpeakNews.com is home base for everything that we do. I put up a new post here earlier today about the Noahide laws, references, and links. I got this from Telegram, along with all these pictures of the different presidents signing on to the Noahide laws. And then there's lots of links here where you can go look at things for yourself and research all of these things for yourself at the Telegram account over at Revelations and Rabbit Holes put up here today. Well, actually, it was a few days ago, but I just put it up on the website today. So lots of links here if you guys want to go research the Noahide laws for yourselves. And I also put the course, the information about earthquakes in Turkey yesterday, the 6.1 that struck, and then there was a 4.8 that followed, and everything appears to have calmed down over there for at least for now. But earthquakes in diverse places, guys, wow, it's all here. It really is. And that will be it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.